All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to our broadcast where I talk to really interesting real estate agents to find out how they're able to have a business and a life. Because one of the things we really believe here at Realvolve is that money is nice, but life is better. So today, I'm really, really excited to have Joel Kahn on my little webinar series that we're still working on the title, but I think we settled on Real Agents, Real Life. So Joel is somebody that I met in our 2-day event in Denver, where we tried to turn on the light bulb on the subject of workflows, which is a subject of some stress for many of our users. And I was just captivated by his ability to give me evil stink eye when he thought I was giving him bullshit. I always love that. I love truth tellers in every way, shape, or form. So I asked Joel to come on our show. Joel, so that you can kind of get a sense of how much you resonate with his story. He has been a retail real estate agent for 10 years, had lots of experience in construction and development before that, but retail real estate for about 10 years. He operates as a small team that consists of him and a partner agent, Shannon. They have 0 staff. When I asked him if he had an assistant, he said he had Realvolve, an answer that I loved. He is a team that operates under the RE/MAX banner. He does primarily single-family dwellings and condos. He and Shannon combined, he needed to tell me that is not all him, but he and Shannon combined did 50 transactions in 2017 to give you an idea of the size of his business. And Joel's a family guy. He's not a guy who has no life but selling houses. God, I hated those commercials. Remember, was it NAR that said, real estate's my life? It's like, right. Forget that. So Joel's got a family and a great life. He's got a wife. He has 2 grown daughters, one in college, and one on her way to law school. So Joel needs to sell houses in case you have any referrals. He does business in Ohio. Where in Ohio?
Columbus area.
Why does every town in Columbus start with a C? I'm just curious. Cleveland.
Well, every town in Columbus, but Cincinnati, Columbus, Cleveland.
Right?
Toledo.
I mean, okay. Yeah, okay. Well, yeah. I'd heard of Toledo. Saturday night in Toledo, Ohio is like no place at all. Anyway, sorry, I had to do that. So, Joel, thank you for coming on our show.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Well, will it be by the time we're done? I'm going to make you cough up all your deepest, darkest secrets.
We don't have time for all of those.
Oh, okay. All right. Darn it. That is. Just a housekeeping note. For those of you who are joining us Facebook Live, thank you so much. You can actually ask any questions that you might have in the comments down below. I'll be able to see those comments, questions, that sort of thing. And I will try to get to them and ask them before we leave the show. If you're seeing this as a recording on Facebook Live, a lot of you are going to see this after the fact. You can still ask questions down below. I will get pinged. If I don't know the answer, I will text Joel and get you the answer for you. No, he's not single. No, he's not available for dating. Just want to get that out there, right there. Okay, so let's jump into what people expect, and that's a little bit about your background in using Realvolve. You're doing a sizable business. 50 transactions is nothing to sneeze at. You don't have an admin. What gave you pain in your business before you started using Realvolve?
We had a few different pain points. One was keeping in touch with our sphere of influence.
Yeah.
Relationship based. I do some stuff with Realtor.com. I do some stuff with Zillow. I've bought leads from various sources, but I'm a firm believer in the relationship transactions. And the biggest pain point was, I believe your sphere of influence and your past client list is, I just think that's a great way to go. I don't want to use the term gold mine, but if you're not speaking to them, reaching out to them, and these are people that know, like, and trust you, then you're leaving money on the table. And that was one of the pain points.
Right. You got a couple of claps for that, by the way. So, just so you know, you got some fans when it comes to doing, relationship building.
Appreciate that. The other pain point was I am not a big admin guy. And you and I, Kendyl, we're kind of on different pages with this, but we run our businesses differently, and that's okay. In my career, I can count on probably one finger how many admins I had. And even when I was at my busiest in home building, running my own company, and at one point I had 18 homes going at one time, I still didn't have an admin. I struggle with, is there a better way to do it? I like to push things down. In the sense of, I like to manage other people. If my wife is watching, she just started laughing out loud with a tear in one eye. My kid's the same. But we saw Realvolve, and I saw Realvolve, and I said, there's this admin piece. And the way I look at it and the way you and I have discussed is that with the workflows, and this isn't a commercial for Realvolve, but with the workflows, the things that you do over and over and over again for the same transaction. And even though every transaction is unique, there are some things that are always the same.
Right.
And in that regard, I looked at Realvolve and said, this can do so many things for me and for us that we don't have to continue to do the same thing over and over again, that we can start automating it.
Right. So you're feeling that ability to automate things would improve this pain point of keeping in touch with your sphere of influence?
Well, two things. Number one, keeping in touch with our clients on a regular basis. They expect hand-holding. They deserve hand-holding. They expect, they want to be project managed. They'll just never tell you that.
Right.
So it allowed us to do that during the transaction, but before a transaction, or even trying to mine those relationships, keeping in touch with those people, that was a huge pain point. It was an Excel spreadsheet. It was a memory. It was, what's their email? It was all the problems that anybody else has that we're speaking with. I had them as well.
Right. Now, you mentioned in our prep call that another pain point was the ability to convert those online leads. Can you tell me more about that?
Sure. I have no problem picking up the phone when somebody reaches out to me to say, hey, it's Joel. Joel Kahn with Remax and the Provident team. Got your note. Fill in the blanks. I've read all the email scripts that everybody else has. I try different things. But it's the consistent touching of, once you've reached out to them, it's the consistent follow up with them of trying to get them to reach back out to you. Right. So we implemented a workflow where, and it's not automatic. We pick and choose. Again, something that I'm a little bit different than other agents on, but we pick and choose what we do, and who, because if we like the lead, it's something we want to work with, not necessarily on a personality level. It's either an 11 or 12 step program that we got from the Paperless Agent.
Okay.
And we modified their workflow and their email verbiage a little bit. And it allows us to, again, automatically keep in touch with people. If they engage with us and we go down a different path, we'll stop the workflow. If they don't engage with us right away, we'll continue the workflow. That just happened today. I had someone reach out to me and say, we're not active, but please keep our search. Don't want to have coffee, but please keep our search going out of MLS.
Right.
That's a small victory.
So it sounds like part of your workflow in talking to online leads is asking them to physically meet you. For coffee, just like to get together, or? Correct.
If Shannon's watching this right now, and I know she is, she's laughing because I actually, when she first started, I would buy her Starbucks gift cards and say, go meet people for coffee, go build the relationships, go do those things. I keep Starbucks myself, and I'm sure lots of other people, but I'm very much a relationship person.
Right.
I also believe, egotistically or not, if I can get in front of you, I've got a great shot of landing you as a client. And I believe in that very strongly for anybody. Email, phone calls, text messages, people can hide behind them, but you get that one-on-one, shake their hand, look them in the eye, take notes, write things down. I just think that's a great way to build a relationship and start a relationship.
Right, right. So in your world, all this electronic stuff that we're starting to use to kind of leverage our time might be a tool, but what builds those relationships is that face to face, and your workflows are helping you to create those opportunities, right?
Exactly. The phrase is belly to belly. If you're sitting across from someone, next to someone, and honestly, it happened yesterday. Someone signed up on the Remax website. I'll tell you, my conversion rate is below 0 with the Remax website for some reason. It's the worst one out there, and it is my brokerage. It is the national one. But I reached out to him, called him, said, hey, this is how I operate. And he called me back and said, yeah, I'd like to meet with you. I'm really getting it started. Younger person. We met yesterday, met with a lender today. His search is up and running. He wants to see one this weekend.
Right.
It would have never happened if I would have not met him in person.
Right, right. Meeting in person is critical then. So here you are. I heard you say that you're using workflows, but I know that getting to the point where you have workflows was not that easy for you. So can you tell me a little bit about how you crossed that hurdle from what the heck is this to, wow, I can really use this as a tool?
Absolutely. So we implemented it. We started building our database. We started tracking our transactions. And all of a sudden on Facebook, Realvolve posts, hey, we're going to do a live classroom training. And I can't remember if it was Mark or Dave. I messaged him and I'm like, I'm in. And then I harped on him. And he's like, this is the weekend. I go, great, I'm in. Well, this is how much it is. I don't care. I'm in. And then it was, well, we haven't finalized the date yet. I don't care. I'm in. And it was a barrage of, am I in? Am I in? Am I in? And because the reason is I had signed up for another CRM. I bought it twice. I did not learn the first time that I hated it. I used it a second time and used it very loosely. So I went to the class. So what I thought we were doing was we were using it at 50%. Then we went to the classroom training, walked away somewhat with our tail between our legs because we were using it at 5 or 10%.
Wow.
The classroom hands-on training, there were aha moments. Certainly listening to what you were saying and how you do your workflows. I thought it was very cool that the CEO of the company was there, but the CIO was the one who was doing the classroom training. And when you have a question, and not to blow up Mark's email inbox, but when I email Mark, he actually responds. And it's almost always a user error. That's me. And I use the online chat as well. They look at your workflows. They say, what are you trying to do? This is what I do. But that aha moment was really in Denver when we were going through, so funny, excuse me for the rustling around. We were going through this 3-ring binder that is on my desk.
Yes.
And I'd show you that my merge fields are still on my desktop, but going through that saying, this is something powerful that we have to harness because it will take us to the next level.
Was there a particular tidbit that you got from Denver that maybe somebody else could go, oh, wow, that means something to me? I don't know what that might be, but can you remember something like that?
No.
Okay.
What I can tell you is that sitting there listening to the other people in the classroom, and some of them had the same pain points. Some of them were way further advanced. You exclude yourself, right? You're at a different level.
I am. What
you
can
are.
I say?
But listening to the people behind us saying, well, this is what we do. And you're like, oh, that's a great idea. And this is what we do. And it's almost like it was its own little mastermind group. And you're hearing these things going, oh, that's a good idea. Let's try to implement that. And of course, it's drinking from a fire hose.
Right.
But we committed to, we're going to do the first transaction to close workflow. Did it. Right. We did a second one. We split up the buyer, the seller, whether it's finance or cash.
Right.
And you have to be willing to make a mistake.
Right. Right. So now that you've had, some workflows that you've written for yourself, and I'll bet you that process was a really interesting one where you had to identify the things that you actually do to make a transaction happen, right? I
Right.
know I enjoyed that. Can you tell me what pain points or how has that improved your ability to run your business?
Well, I think first and foremost, communicating with our clients on a regular basis,
Mm-hmm.
because we as agents, we know it a lot. Well, the good agents know a lot. The bad agents just trip everybody up.
Yeah, they're bad
So I
agents.
know I'm not supposed to talk about that. The agents who know what they're doing know what they're doing. The problem is we get into such a system of I know it, therefore my client should know it. And that's not true. Some clients do. Some of them, it's their fourth or fifth transaction and they know exactly the way it's going to go. Some of it's their fourth or fifth transaction and they still have no clue what earnest money deposit does or why you have it or home
Right.
inspection or whatever it is. So these transaction to close workflows that we set up are really about keeping in contact with our clients. An email of the final countdown. Again, give Shannon credit where credit is due. She's the one who came up with that. It's a great way to get somebody excited about getting to the finish line. And it's a
Mm-hmm.
list of here are all the things. And by the way, here's what happens with your earnest money deposit. Here's what happens at the title company. Don't forget your driver's license. The text message before closing. Hey, we're all set for tomorrow. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Don't forget your driver's license. Because at least in Ohio, if you don't have that ID, you're not closing. So we harp on it.
Right. Right. So it sounds like that has really streamlined your process. I'm guessing that it also enhances your client's perception of your value to them.
It does. I talk about, so if I do a listing presentation or I'm working with a new client, I talk about Realvolve. I talk about Realvolve as being one of my tools.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, my very first workflow that I messed up, I hit go, and my buyer, who did not speak English very well, was a technical person,
Oh
got
gosh.
12 emails and text messages all at the same time. And my phone was blowing up because he's going, what do you mean I'm closing tomorrow? What do you mean my earnest money deposit's due tomorrow? What do you mean my application's due? Everything was due. And I'm like, hey, I learned from that. But yes, I talk about it because I talk about this is something that it's a value add for us.
Right. Right. And so the next question that I had, but I think it kind of goes right into there. This is a value add for you. How does Realvolve help you to enhance your business creation activities?
We're able to keep in contact with our current customers, our previous customers, our potential customers, our suspect customers. That's one of the labels, and our database of people on a consistent basis.
Mm-hmm.
We still what I call two-step it. We send a
Mm-hmm.
newsletter every month, but we do it out of MailChimp.
Okay.
The content on that newsletter comes from the paperless agent. I like what they do and how they do it and what they have to say.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's relevant across different agents. One thing that you and I discussed is I'm not sending out postcards with cookie recipes. That's not my personality. It's just not.
But you look like you enjoy cookies. I know I
I
do.
love cookie. Right, I like
Favorite.
eating them
Yes.
way more than I do talking about the
Okay. So no cookie recipes. Got
no
it.
cookie recipes. But it allows us to keep in contact. And if you go back to what I said originally, and it's something that I get on the soapbox about, is there's great value in your database.
Right.
And there's huge value in your database. It's a conversation starter at times. One thing you and I discussed was we don't blast our database with emails when we have new listings. If we have
Right.
something unique, we do.
Mhm.
Unique for Columbus is different than unique for Carlsbad. But we
Yes.
had one that we sent out, and learning experience. We didn't put a price on it. I had a client said, "Hey, I love it." I was like, "Well, it's twice as much as your price point," but it got him communicating with me.
Right.
Hey, these things going on. Go ahead.
So it sounds like you're concentrating on sending messages of value rather than robotically sending out things just because you need to send something out.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah.
Correct.
And you had mentioned also, because you just mentioned that database is such an important aspect of your business. You mentioned reaching out at, at special times in their lives when they're pregnant or life events.
So we keep track of, and it's more on a personal level. The younger couples, it doesn't matter their age, but when someone is pregnant, we try to keep track of, hey, have you added to your family yet? What's the latest? What's going on? And this just happened, and we become friends with our clients. It's very rare that we do not keep in touch with them. Every once in a while it happens. Personalities just don't match, but we keep in touch. And I remembered that a certain couple, she was due in June and sent a note and said, "Hey, have you expanded your family yet?" And this was their first. And he goes, "Oh, I actually came early. Thanks for reaching out. By the way, I'm glad you reached out." They bought a very small home last year. They want to be on land. We'd love to talk to you. We want to start our land search now because the home is too small for us. And I went there, did a CMA, pulled some numbers, saw the house that they had worked on, of course, saw the baby, gift card, little handwritten note. "Joel, thanks for coming out. We greatly appreciate it. Thanks for setting up the land search." They're already talking to the lender. And it wasn't a matter of, "Gee, I want to sell them some land." It was a matter of, they had a baby, and that's a pretty big event. And I like the two of them. And I sent them a note and said, "Hey, what's going on?" And then it turns into a potential three transactions: the land, the bill deal, and then the sell as well.
So it really sounds like you're using your database as a means of being authentically interested in your clients' lives.
Yeah, we have about 550 people in our Realvolve database.
Right. And we've talked about it. Your Realvolve database is your clean database, the people that you really know, like, and trust.
Correct. We have another, there are 3 or 4 of them in there we don't really like or trust.
Okay, well, there's a stinker in every pile.
We moved them to D's. But I have another database from previous lead sources of 1,200 that we have not merged in yet, because I'm afraid, and I like the cleanliness, but I can't keep track of, let's say there's 350 of them are my clients or my people. I cannot mentally keep track of all those people and what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Shannon gave me the smiley face with tears. I think she's thinking of who it is you don't like in your database. But
it's not just me, right? She has one as well.
This is a publicly open thing, so we're not going to talk about who Joel thinks is a stinker. Okay. What's said here stays here. Oh, wait, no, it doesn't stay here, so we can't say. So because relationship building is such a big deal in your business, I know that you shared with me something that you do in your business to help foster those face-to-face relationships. Sounds like bowling might be something that's fun in your business, right? Can you tell us more about that?
So we had the idea. I had the idea of doing some type of client event. I've thought about it a few different times, never pulled the trigger. I thought about a cocktail party. I thought about different things. There are a few realtors locally who do movies. And before I was a realtor and I was still building, and I built spec homes, I actually went to those, and it was very nice. They did a toy drive. It was during the holiday season, but we wanted interaction, and you don't get interaction in a movie. It's kind of like the first date. If it's a movie, it's safe because you don't have to talk about anything.
Yeah.
And it was Shannon who said, "Hey, what about bowling?" To which I was like, not my thing, but a great idea. So what we did was we sent out to our previous customers 2-3 years back, and then we ended up having to go back a little bit further. But We did a bowling event. It was the end of October, I think it was beginning of November. We had rented out half of an alley. And Shannon is connected with a charitable organization that needs food donation. So we had sponsors. We had some mortgage companies, some title companies, my CPA, who is both a client, a referrer, and I refer back to her.
Oh, super there.
Yeah, great person. And we said, okay, we're going to take this money to help offset the cost, some of the costs. And we're going to take this money, we're going to buy gifts. And we did a raffle. Well, the rules of the raffle were, if you want to be part of the raffle, you have to bring in a bag of food. So we were trying to do some good, and it was really cool. Right. We debated back and forth. It was a Saturday afternoon. In Columbus, Ohio, in the fall. Everything revolves around the Ohio State University football schedule. I don't care who you are and what you're doing. If you believe otherwise and you're trying to do an event, you will fail.
Okay.
This one happened to have an evening football game, and we would wrap up right beforehand.
Okay.
And we had all different types of people. What's funny is we went back and forth on whether we should do an open bar. And of course, we're like, no, it's kid friendly. It's a family event. And you look over, and the people who you thought would have buckets of beer, 6 buckets of 6 packs of beer by their lanes had the beer. And we just kind of laughed about it. But
right.
The best part about it is we got to interact. That was the second best. The best part was our clients got to interact with each other. And it was really cool to see. We kind of placed people together that we thought we knew would get along. We didn't do a blind draw. Maybe next year we'll do that. But we think we can double in size, which will double in donation. So in January, February this year, we looked at the Ohio State football schedule. And there's actually a weekend they're not playing. We reserved the bowling alley right then and there. And we're going to do it again.
Right.
Because it was a lot of fun. We built relationships. And yes, I got 2 transactions out of it, because clients said, hey, we're trying to get our friends to work with you. Mm-hmm. Bring them to the bowling event.
Right, right. So the idea of having an event where everybody can talk and interact with each other, you with them, but also them amongst themselves,
right,
is you feel is more valuable than the movie.
I'm a very strong believer in having that interaction, but I'm a relationship guy.
Right.
I believe that. So I'll tell a very quick story. I talked about my CPA. My best friend was there. We started talking. He goes, how do you know Capstone CPAs? And I was like, that's Donna. She's my accountant. And she was a client. He goes, that's my accountant. I go, oh, he had never met her before. He started working with her when he lived out of town on a referral from somebody else. Let me introduce the two of you. And they're both great people. So of course they get along great. And I think she looks at it and he's going, well, she does a great job. He's had the belly to belly, face to face. Much easier for him to refer business to her as well.
And so now you've become the connector between those two, which really strengthens your relationship with them.
Correct. Wow. I bring a value that a lot of other agents don't bring. It's one and done. Here's your postcard.
Right.
And maybe you'll hear from me once a year if you're lucky, but probably not.
Right. Right. And so you invested in building that relationship once, and that will probably continue to pay out throughout your career, as opposed to paying over and over and over and over again for a new online lead. Correct?
Correct. Every business book tells you the same thing. A repeat customer is way less expensive than creating a new customer.
Right. So let's kind of jump into that. You had said to me that the vast majority of your business is repeat and referral, even though you pay for online leads.
Right.
You do a pretty good job with follow-up and conversion. Could be better. We could all be better.
Right.
But you don't do a bad job. And yet still, with all of that, most of your business comes from repeat and referral. So what do clients rave about the most about how you do business? Why do they repeat and refer with you?
I think part of it is my the technical piece that I bring to it. And I don't mean that in a technology, the
You
real
don't
vault.
program their computers for them.
Correct. I have a vast background in real estate. I've seen an awful lot. I have not seen everything, but I've seen an awful lot. And that's my phrase to people.
Mm-hmm.
I spent, as you and I discussed, after I got my license, about a year or two after I got my license, I spent 3.5 years running a foreclosure portfolio for a community bank. So oversaw the disposition of 400 properties, about 25 million, $150 house that wasn't worth $150, up to a $2.6 million golf course.
Okay.
So when we talk about the transaction, when we talk about the negotiations, there's a piece of me that is just different and unique, and that I'm able to look at things and get things done, keep things moving along, explain things well to people. And if I get the glazed over look, I will stop and I will say, do you understand what I'm saying? Let me say it a different way.
Right.
Let me try to do this for you. I have no problem getting a piece of paper out and sketching. Mm-hmm. I think that's a big part of it. The other part of it is when I'm working with buyers, and I work with both, is when walking into the home, I start in the basement. And people look at me, and I go look at one quirk when we look at houses, and that is we have to start in the basement. And they always look at me, and as we go down to the basement, there's really two reasons I do it. What I tell my clients is, if the foundation isn't what we want it to be, there's no reason to look at the rest of the house. The other reason I do it, which is the sales side, is there's no good conversation that ever happens next to a furnace in the basement. You want to finish in the kitchen. You want to finish in the master suite.
I see.
You want to finish in the great room. You want to finish in the outdoor living area. And I learned that a long time ago, is that's another reason why you never end up in the basement. There's nothing sexy about it. If it's finished, that's one thing. So if you're in an area where it has basements, trust me on this. Look at your clients and say, I have one quirk and let's start in the basement. And they really appreciate it, especially the engineer and technical type. When you look at them and you say, if the foundation isn't what we want and it isn't right, there's no reason to look at the rest of the house. They will appreciate you looking at them, knowing that you're looking out for their best interests.
Of course, all of my California friends are going, what's a basement?
Right. Sorry.
What's this? It sounds like you're speaking English, but we don't think so. Okay, never mind. That's just a little joke on my part. The whole time you're talking, I'm like, yeah, sounds great.
Right. All right. Sorry.
What, I'm going to start in the garage?
Right.
Okay, so that sounds like super cool. Besides your kick-ass CRM, which of course is kick-ass, what tool or book or gadget have you purchased for, say, less than $100 that's really made a difference in your life or in your business?
Well, every month for $67, I get my information from the paperless agent. And like I said, they're the ones who actually referred to Realvolve in the sense of this is a great CRM.
Just full disclaimer, guys, paperless agent. We have business interests together, but I did not pay Joel to say that.
No.
Okay.
No, I would say it without even getting a free T-shirt from them that I haven't seen yet. I think their quality is very good. I think their webinars are very good. I think it's very relevant information that's shared. It allows us to touch our clients on a monthly basis. So I do that every month with them. I live with my cell phone like all of us do. So technology-wise, although it's not less than $100 a month. But the data on using my my cell phone. But and then as far as books go, everyone talks about these great books, these fancy books, and all of this. And I told you that my favorite of all time is Who Moved My Cheese? And it's just it really resonated with me, and I read it a long time ago. It was actually handed to me. Yeah, it was handed to me by someone, a former employer that I did not like. He was not a good person.
And you still read the book.
There. Well, I read the book, and what's interesting is that book just really, it's a simple read, it's a quick read, but it just teaches you that activity breeds activity, and momentum breeds momentum, and sitting and doing nothing is the absolute worst thing you can do in any business setting, especially us as agents. You're much better off going and doing whatever that means to you, but just getting out there and doing it.
Right.
We talked about things I won't do and I don't like to do in real estate.
That's a few. A few for all of us, right?
Right.
One or two, like door knocking, right?
Right.
Right. Exactly. Speaking of someone who did that for 12 years, okay. In the last few years, what new belief, behavior, or habits have most improved your life or your business?
It's a great question, and it's somewhat of a setup question, because in the past 2-3 years,
I'm just lobbing the ball at you.
Right. For me, it's become about relationships.
I mean, but were you? Does that mean that you were highly transactional at some point in your life?
I was certainly, with the downturn of the market in 08, 09, you go through 10 and 11, you were just praying to get, if you had a listing, you were praying to get a buyer. Mm-hmm. You were praying to get to the finish line. You were, again, I was doing the consulting at that point in time, so I had multiple things going on, but you were looking at things as, okay, let me just get this sold so I get my commission check. Mm-hmm. I've spent months marketing it. Open house after open house after open house. You've invested this time, this money. Your commissions became much more cutthroat then. It was just a very unique situation. And 2-3 years ago is when I started realizing that's not who I am. And I am much better in a relationship setting. Now, I've taken a step backwards at times because of that, saying I want to build those relationships and I want to build them stronger. So as much as I want to go wide in my business, and that's why I still do some advertising with some third party, mm-hmm. and I really want to go deep, I don't think my database is big enough, deep enough. Mm-hmm. That's why I still go wider. I don't know if I'll ever stop going wide, because your database people will fall off of it.
So wide means that you're adding more people to your
Correct.
database. Deep means that you're strengthening the relationships of a person in your database. So I want to take you back a second. You had said that a couple, 3 years ago, you had a realization that being transactional is not who you are. What happened at that time that made you rock back on your heels?
I don't think there was anything specific. I'm sure I worked with a client who was a jerk. And
Joel, that happens like every year, like for some of us, like every week. So it's just one client?
I'm sure there was a string.
Okay.
But for me, it's I just am not going to work with people who don't respect me, don't respect my time. Look, if we all have the client that's always 10 minutes late, right? That's just who they are. And that's okay, right? You kind of put up with it, but when they're a jerk about it, you go, that's not what I want to do. It's not who I want to deal with. Mm-hmm. And so I looked and I said, you know what? I enjoy working with, I want to work with people who want to work with me. Mm-hmm. And, it kind of went to I'm not going to work with jerks. And if I do have a lead that I start working with and there's somebody I don't want to work with, I'm not going to cut the cord, but I'm just going to kind of stop the communication. And it's just going to end, and I'm going to let them know.
Weren't you fearful or anxious in some fashion that you wouldn't make as many sales by switching that way?
Sure. I still am. Right? When you're up at 1 o'clock in the morning working, I'm at 4 o'clock in the morning worrying. Mm-hmm. But
So, I mean, was it something where it was a light bulb, or did you go through a transition where you backslid and then went back and forth, or how did that feel to you to move from concentrating on transactions to concentrating on relationships?
it was not a light. If it was a light bulb moment, it was not a point in time. So I can't say on this day or this date, but it was more of a realization or awakening, which
Mm-hmm.
might be too strong of a word, but it was somewhat of an awakening of, if I can build a relationship, I'm going to enjoy what I do a whole lot better. If I'm
Right.
not building a relationship, okay, look, I got a commission check, put it in the bank.
Right.
Oh, let's go do another one. And, I look, I'm supported greatly by my wife, Kathy. So that makes life a whole lot easier.
Right.
I've got a cheerleader. I've got someone behind me who's pushing me, good and bad as we all get there. And I
She
mean
also
that tongue
calls
in
you
cheek.
on your, stuff, right?
Oh, yeah, right. But it's so knowing that that's there, it does make it easier for me to say, okay, so I didn't make that X amount of dollars. I lost, although I'm a believer you can't lose what you never really had.
Mm-hmm.
So the more I look at that and the more I look at the relationship building, I go, it makes your life that much happier and that
Mm-hmm.
much easier. And it's that much more enjoyable being a real estate agent.
Yeah, more enjoyable to be a real estate agent
Right.
because this can be a tough business.
It can be a tough business.
It can, absolutely. So I know that in your office you have people that ask for advice and come up to you. What do you say to let's just say okay, Remax is really not the environment for sweet young things, but a newer agent that is asking you for advice on what they should do. What would you tell them? How would you tell them to get started?
So 3 years ago ish, when Shannon and I first started talking, this was part of our conversation, and we sat down, and and she said, I think I want to get my license. She came with a real estate background, worked at a title company. And we talked about what are my steps other than get my license. What are my steps? These are your steps. Start writing down a list of people that you know. Start writing down a list of people that know, like, and trust you. And we're gonna kind of build this up. And then when you have your license, we're gonna launch you into that. She was great because she listened. And that's the most important thing, is when you have someone that listens. But the new agent that comes in that I don't have a relationship with, and they go, what should I do? It would probably be the same conversation. Start writing down who you know and go talk to people. Go have coffee.
Right.
Go get involved in whatever that is. If you play golf, start talking to the people you play golf with. Don't harp on them.
So I got a question.
Sure.
So you told Shannon, build that list of people build a list of people like, and trust, and then you said, and then when you get your license, we're going to launch you.
Right.
So did you have Shannon? Did you tell her to call these people and say, I'm a real estate agent, you want to buy or sell a house? I mean, how did that go?
No. So Shannon and I have two things we refuse to do. One is we will not door knock. The second is we will not cold call. Now,
Okay.
granted, that wouldn't be a cold call, but she reached out. I'm sure she called the people that she knows well. We sent out postcards. We announced it. There were emails. We added them to the database. We started doing those things. I started feeding her some leads because it was fair, right? It was what I wanted to do, that she could hit the ground running.
Mm-hmm.
So her first year, it wasn't a full year. She did well. We sat down and she said, okay, this is my goal. And I shook my head and I go, no, that's not your goal. That's your comfort zone. And I'm not one of those who says, oh, you've got to really push yourself to the edge. It's okay. Let's have two goals, right? So we have the goal, we have the stretch goal, and we try to, push that. And I do it for myself as well. This is my goal. This is my stretch goal. But we talked about, okay, how do we do it? And it was starting to build those relationships, because we are two very different people. If you probably remember talking to us, we're very different people, but we have a belief in that we take very good care of our clients.
I mean, Shannon's nice.
She's very nice, right? That's what makes us very different people. She says she's the warm and fuzzy one, but people you don't hear what she says at 10:30 at night when she's talking to people in bed. And she's like, "Would you believe?" And I was like, "Yeah."
So, okay, I asked you this question. So I'm actually phrase it a little bit because I asked you if your routines and habits that you have to start your day, you're like, yeah, that's a bad question. So let me put it a different way. What are the things that ground you? What are the touchstones that keep you moving forward and not being like, a shit show?
Oh, you're assuming that I'm not a shit show.
I am assuming that. Yes, you do. You do throw off that vibe. If I'm different, please enlighten me.
I think part of it is how I grew up. Both my wife and I did not grow up the way our kids are growing up, and we're happy about that most of the time.
Right.
But I think we have a tendency to look where we came from and where we want to go together and the things we want to do. I think that's part of it. The other part of it is I do get emotionally involved with my clients in a good way, right? I want them to be happy. As much as I can sometimes come across as not the most warm and fuzzy, I am a people pleaser, and I want them to be happy. I want the 5-star review on Zillow. Right. I want to be able to ask for it and not have to worry about it. Because what I want is them to have such a great experience that if some of their friends say, "Wait, we're thinking about moving," call Joel. Don't call anybody else. Call Joel.
So it sounds like your touchstone is whatever it takes to get your client's positive reaction.
As long as it's not illegal or immoral or something like that, yes.
Well, I'm sure your wife is happy to hear that.
But this is a business, I think, that if you don't do the right thing, it can come back and bite you in a lot of ways. And that's always in the back of my mind. But I know I have a job to do, and I know there are things that have to happen on a daily basis. You would talk to me, what's my routine? And my routine is I'm very responsive. When I wake up in the morning, what text messages are there, what leads are there, what workflow do I need to run in Realvolve? Sorry.
Yeah.
And who do I need to respond to? I will always take care of everybody else's need, especially my clients or my lenders. They need something. And then I kind of start the rest of my day. But I think if we just, and I know there are coaches out there who say, you need to do this, you need to do this. You have to take care of your time. You have to control your time. Don't respond. Don't do that. The other book that we talked about, same author, is Raving Fans.
Right.
And I'm a believer in that. I believe that if I can have a raving fan, one raving fan can turn into 2, 4, 8, 16, etc. And look, if someone's got unrealistic expectations, it's a different situation. I have one client that won't start texting me until 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night.
Oh, golly.
But I don't respond. I respond at 5:30 in the morning when I get up, and I try to blow up his phone. But we're 3 transactions deep with each other. Right. And then he's referred me out to somebody else, and will probably refer me out to a couple more. We work well together.
Right. Simpatico. Right. So, but with all that, you're being a client pleaser, you're really paying attention to their emotional needs as well as their operational transactional needs. There's going to be times when this business just knocks you on your ass, right? You lose a listing, somebody buys a house from their buddy, what have you. What do you do to recenter yourself when that kind of stuff happens?
Well, short of throwing my phone across the room, which is
probably not good. Those things are very expensive now. So
they are. A couple things I will do. I work out of my home office a lot. I will change my surroundings. Now, I do a lot of cycling. So there are times if I'm having a really bad day, I'll text my wife and say, I'm going for a ride. and I'll go out, whether it's an hour and a half or 2 hours or 3 hours, and I will just ride. And sometimes I have a buddy that I ride with who we can talk through different things. We talk. Is this a training ride or is this a therapy ride?
Oh.
So we joke about it. So I have someone to talk to there. Certainly I can talk to my wife about certain things, but I change my surroundings. And then every once in a while I call Shannon and go, okay, I've done 1,200 plus transactions in my world, and you're not going to believe this one. And it's nice to have someone who's in the business. And I have a couple other realtors that are friends, and we know we can talk to each other, and it's never going to go any further than each of us.
Yeah,
one has been in the business a lot longer. Right. Exactly. And it's just, I think you have to do that. Right. And it's, you have those little 5-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute therapy sessions with a friend or with a coworker, a team member, a spouse, somebody you ride with. But like I told you, if in the wintertime here, things can get very slow, I will pack up my laptop and I will go to the local Starbucks and I will sit there, because I will not be able to meet anybody sitting in my office at home. Mm-hmm. And my office at work it's not a collaborative place. It's just, that's not the environment. Right. Where you are with Diggs, you've created that. Yeah. Right. I respect that. When I'm invited out there, then I will come see you because I want to see it.
Well, I've got a team from San Diego that's visiting us right now. They're downstairs. They're just the same thing. They're like, we're coming up. I'm like, okay, great. We'll see you in a little bit.
Right. But to me, it's changing you got to change your physical environment, right, and that'll help you change your mental environment as well.
Do you ever have trouble recognizing that that's what you need? I mean, do you get stuck sometimes?
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
Absolutely. And then Kathy keeps you out of the house, right?
Well, not too often. The other thing I'll do is, we've got a couple of chocolate labs, and I'll let them out of their crates, and I'll just start, petting them, take them outside. It's just, again, it's changing that environment. And when they're around, right, there's nothing better than a lab with a wagging tail, in my humble opinion.
Okay. God, you have shared so many nuggets. I don't even know how to unpack them all. I hope that the people who viewed this, maybe they'll rewind it and go back and review some of the stuff you shared about, like the bowling event and Who Moved My Cheese. What a classic. I haven't read that in a while, and I revisit it and that is a brilliant book. So how can people get a hold of you if they want to maybe refer business to you, or maybe have follow-up questions to what you shared? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
My cell phone.
Okay. What's your phone number?
614.
Wait a minute. 614.
778.
778.
3918.
3918. Okay, I'm going to show that. So in case anybody see, these are things I can do. Ooh, look at that.
How cool is that?
Right? So wait, I got to do this. Call now at 614-778-3918. Wait, there's more. No,
there's more. Feel free to call. I would prefer a phone call over a text message.
Okay. Old fashioned. Wow, look at you.
Just because. Right? If you want to text me, that's fine. Just tell me who you are. Give me your contact information. Just don't say, hey, tell me about. So email.
Okay.
They can email me at Joel, Joel, at theprovidentteam.com.
Oh, man. That means I have to figure out the
PROVIDENTTEAM.com.
All this spelling. Oh, my goodness. Let's hope I got that right.
You got it.
Very good. Joel at theprovidentteam.com. That's your team under the RE/MAX banner.
Correct. Correct.
Right. So, just, I don't know if for those of you who maybe got on a little bit later, Joel has a ton of experience in Columbus, Ohio, but also with development, new development, foreclosures, corporate sales, just a lot of stuff that I've never even experienced. And I think that he is an amazing resource for anyone in that neck of the woods or just kind of in general. With people who might want to build. Like, for example, building doesn't happen really out here because, like, we have no land. So, but the idea that I might have someone interested in it, I'm definitely going to be using you as a resource for the things that I need. So I really thank you coming out on this show. Is there anything that you want to say in closing? Parting shot, if you will?
No, thank you for having me. I say no, then I say something. All right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to call you on that, right?
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun. It was great to get to know you better, and I greatly appreciate it. And I greatly appreciate your knowledge and what you brought during those 2 days because you're a huge resource.
Oh no! Stop!
You're a huge resource for Realvolve, and not to advertise for them, but I really like it. Half of it because of what it does and the other half of who they are as people. And that's really, it's pretty cool in this day and age. Yeah. There are faces and names that are behind Realvolve and they're not even behind Realvolve. They're in front of it. And that's unheard of these days.
Yeah. We're out and proud. That's for sure.
Yeah. Mark and Dave and the team and Nate and Caleb, who are always on chat.
Right. They always are.
Right.
Our support team rocks, man.
Right. It's greatly appreciated because I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed when it comes to this stuff.
All right. We got to sign off, but thank you so much. Thank you for attending the show, guys. And again, if you're seeing this on a replay and you have questions, go ahead and put them down below and we'll make sure that you get answers. Thanks for now, you guys. We'll see you at our next show. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.